Okay, so we're just trying to get this actually working. I'm going to see if now Esther can join me. This is the first time I've ever done a live. Okay, view request. Go live. Accept. Oh my God, I think it's actually working. This is my first ever live. Sorry, obviously it needs to be done from my end, not your end.
Well done.
Okay.
Well done. I can't see you at the moment.
Oh,
can
no.
you see me?
I can see you. I'm on the top and you're on the
Let's
bottom.
hope that people can see you because I can't. I can only see myself.
Good.
But let's,
Oh, my friend Nina has joined, but Nina, thank you for joining us. But she is well past the postnatal stage, but always nice. You can give some tips to your friends, unless they want to tell me, Nina. Okay, you introduce Esther.
right, yes. So it's meant to be the other way around, but it doesn't matter as long as it's working. And it's such a shame I can't see your face, but I just don't want to jinx it now. So I'm just going to imagine your lovely face. So we were going to talk with Sunnah. We just cooked it up really quickly in the last 24 hours. So this is really spontaneous. And we want to give you some top tips on postnatal life and postnatal recovery. So if you just had a baby recently, and that could mean the last few months, or it could mean the last few weeks, let alone the last few days, here, this is for you. So Sunnah and I both came up with 3 top tips for you to look after your body and mind in these early days. And in my first introduction, we had the first go at this live, I said, I actually find that it's a bit of an artificial separation between body and mind. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of overlaps. But Sunnah, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? And I introduce myself and we can just do our top tips. And that's it.
So actually now listening to you, I'm like, oh, I've kind of given top tips for like what I would think the first like 6 weeks should look like, which is before postnatal yoga really kicks in. But I might see if I can change what I'll do.
Oh, sorry. No, that's fine. Go with that.
Okay, so just for those that don't know me, I'm Sunnah Rose. I'm a yoga teacher and have been teaching since like way too long, 2002. I've been teaching pregnancy and postnatal yoga since 2006, and which means that it's a bit ridiculous, but I'm nearly at that stage where people that were probably in my postnatal class will soon be coming to my pregnancy yoga classes, which will make me feel like a grandma. But anyway, and so I teach mostly in East Finchley, North London. I teach a bit of online. And obviously I teach a little bit privately, and I'm recently just starting to try and get a postnatal class up in High Barnet, which is kind of near where I live and also where Esther is based too. Esther, what about you?
Thank you. And those who don't know me, I'm Eszter Bove. I've been supporting breastfeeding mothers since 2010. I've got my own 2 lovely daughters who are also way past the postnatal period, so 13 and 9. But I breastfed them both, and then I went into breastfeeding support from primary teaching. I completely abandoned that life. And more recently, in 2020, I qualified as an IBCLC lactation consultant, which covers all areas of infant feeding, really. And my latest passion has become supporting matrescence turning into a mother, the transition into motherhood. So we're trying to bring our skills together here. And I was so pleased to find you, Sunnah. And I'm so chuffed with your classes, actually. I love them, and I go with my daughter. So talking of generations, and I feel what you say, because in my Lelecheli group that I've been running for 10 years now, I get mothers with the second, third babies, and it does feel like a different generation.
Definitely. So shall we just launch into our? I bet ours are just going to basically be nearly the same, but we'll see. So obviously I teach pregnancy yoga, and then what happens is you see me right till the end of your pregnancy, and then you give birth. Hopefully you have a positive birth, whatever that looks like. And then I generally don't get to see people again until about 6 weeks, if I'm lucky, about 6 weeks later, but sometimes it's 2 or 3 months. But I wanted to give a few top tips for that kind of first period of time, because often people are, well, I'll just give my number one and we'll see how we go. So often in the first 2 weeks of someone having a baby, they get in touch with me. And I think post-birth, obviously you've got a lot of adrenaline and you've got lots of oxytocin. And so people tend to feel super high and like, I can do this. Also, generally, I know this isn't the case for everyone, but newborn babies sleep a lot. So you're kind of feeling a little bit more rested. So you're kind of a bit high and you're a bit more rested. So I often get a phone call going, I'm ready to start. Let's come and do postnatal yoga. But I would tend to say it's just that. And then I don't hear from them for about another month and a half or 2 weeks, or like, month and a half, but 6, 7 weeks. And so I would tend to say to really allow yourself to rest at that moment in time. Obviously babies do kind of get easier, but also what's asked of you gets a lot more. And so you've just had birth. This is a really big deal. Give yourself time to rest. Lie on the sofa, lie in bed, have people attend to you. That's generally why, if you have a partner around, they take time off so they can do everything. And you may feel like you want to do it, but I would just say try to allow yourself to initially rest as much as you can. And in many cultures, that's what happens to the mum generally, as long as 40 days. So in England we're like, partner has 2 weeks, so there you go. So that's all I was going to say about your physical body. Try to rest, because rest is what will help you heal in many ways. Esther, what about you? What were you going to say? We're probably going to overlap so much, but you go for it.
100%. I did come up with 3 top tips, and actually I was just thinking as you talked, we are so on the same wavelength, and why wouldn't we be? If you've been working with this demographic for the last few decades, then you'll have the experience, and having gone through it ourselves, we know what we need. And I start with tip number 3. I came up in order, but I'm going to reverse it because it really resonates with what you just said, and that was give yourself time. Give yourself time. And for me, it's also from a mental and psychological point of view. We talk about the 4th trimester for a reason. And you mentioned that recovery period, Sunnah, the first 6 weeks. Sometimes they call it the first 40 days. In some cultures, yes, the mothers get tended to. And there are many examples of this, how the community and the family comes together. And sometimes they move in. That might horrify you, that thought, but depending on your family situation. But they move in and they feed you, and they look after the household. They maybe look after all their children. And I was just going to say, accept all the help you can get. We live in a culture where it's not the done thing. Very few people are able to accept help, let alone ask for help. But actually around this time, when you've just given birth, there are opportunities out there. There are friends and neighbors who will happily offer help, or family members that will offer help. So just accept all the help you can, and just accept that brain mush that comes with having just given birth, because it's not just your body recovering, it's a complete brain transition. I've just finished reading the book Matrescence, and I'm taking so much away from it, and it literally explains the physiological, biological changes that take place in our brains. Our brain gets restructured in that time. Apparently shows, is it months or years after giving birth, the structure of your brain. If someone just looks at your brain scan, they can tell that you've given birth. I find it all fascinating. I could talk about it all day, but I will stop there. But just accept all the help and just give yourself time. If it all feels like a fog and a complete disaster, that's normal. And just accept all the help you can, and then you get through it. Sunnah.
Okay.
Over to you.
My second tip, even though I promise you it's not going against what my tip number 1 is, but often we're told that we're not allowed to do anything until 6 weeks. And if anyone has had a baby, and we'll know that as a general rule, that 6-week check is literally the doctor saying, how are you feeling? Okay, let's talk about birth control. So that nothing is really happening to kind of signify what 5 weeks plus 4 days is to 6 weeks plus 3 days. So I don't think you need to go to a yoga class. Don't think you need to go and start doing specific postnatal exercises, but I do think things like really simple stuff like shoulder rolls, opening up your chest, because all of this kind of turning forwards, doing pelvic floors. So you don't have to do big movements, but don't be afraid to start moving. And, you know, that could look, you know, definitely forms of walks. I know that people do that a lot too, but don't be afraid of exercise. Just don't, you know, go and do a big exercise class, or don't do a HIIT class, but allow yourself to start moving around in your body, because you are resting, but you also need to keep your joints moving to keep you healthy. And generally, like I said, a lot of people don't come back to like yoga at 6 weeks. Generally, it's about 2-3 months. So just kind of getting into some good. That's my.
Thank you. That's not contradictory at all. I can really see how that would work together.
What about you?
And I'm going to try and resonate again, because we're channeling each other here. And my tip number 2 is, you said, what I took away from yours is follow your body. I don't know if that's what you meant, that follow your body in terms of feel into what feels right. And instead of pushing yourself too far, you actually work with the state of your body as it is now after giving birth. And my top tip number 2 is follow your baby. So we tend to be in Western societies, we tend to be so much in our prefrontal cortex, in our cognitive brain, and we're so used to being in control of our lives and our daily routines and our weekly routines. And when I say follow your baby, I really mean babies are instinctual creatures. Their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed yet. They live on an instinct level, a reflex level. And so they can't overthink. So let's make the most of that and let our babies lead us. When I teach breastfeeding or support mothers in breastfeeding, we often say, let your baby lead. You know, when you're frazzled and all over the place, then just follow your baby and you can't go far wrong. If you're worried about how much sleep they get, follow them, and they will sleep, and they grab their sleep when they need it, and just let them sleep then. If you're looking at play, you know, yesterday we had a play worker in Mama Haven, and she was incredibly skilled at guiding the moms in following their babies. You know, we can really overthink what's right and wrong, but if you follow your baby's cues and you learn to read them, which again comes with time, you might feel at the beginning it's like feeling in the dark. You can't go far wrong. What's the third tip, Sunnah?
Just going to say quickly, because obviously we get really, I really just do think, don't be afraid, particularly in that first 3 months, to just be completely present and be with your baby, and try to like let go of the what's this routine, what's that routine, because like you say, they're instinctual. It's like trying to force your baby into some sort of routine that it has no idea about. So just following on for that. So then I'm a bit lost with my third, because I've got so many. So my third was going to be, because we're still in the first 6 weeks, but I might add a little fourth at the end, was if you are feeling something isn't going right. So if you are not getting the feeding right, or if you're feeling like something's going on, you know, around your pelvic floor or things like that, just go, you know, ask for help. Now, if someone has come to my pregnancy yoga class, I would have said, please get in contact with me straight away, because in that 6 weeks of time, someone that might have numbers, like I have Esther's number, and I have numbers of really amazing physios, and so if they get in contact with me, then I can give them a whole host of names. Often people are just left and they're relying on this, you know, the NHS, which unfortunately is a bit pushed. So I say, like, if you're having problems with feeding, get in touch with someone straight away. You can get in touch with Esther. You could even probably have a phone call with her, and that might help you. And she'll generally come and see you quite quickly. So first 6 weeks, that's what I would do. Just kind of nip those issues as quickly as you can. Don't let it, you know, like 6-7 weeks. So that's what you're kind of wanting to do. And it's unfortunate in this country that we don't have that support at our doorstep straight away. Anyway, that's what I was going to say. And then the only other thing I was going to say, which I'm going to say tip 4, is when you are ready to return to exercise, try to go to a postnatal specific one. Even if it's only for a few weeks, your body is tired, you are looking after a baby, you're not fully focused, you need a class that supports that, you know, and you'll be with other mums who have just had babies. Nothing better. Anyway, that was my third, fourth. Go, Esther, you can do 2.
Amazing. No, I don't need, like, you speaking from my brain, son. Like, honestly, nobody will believe we didn't plan this together. and I've got things written down in a document, so I can prove it. I can prove it. We're thinking along the same lines. My top tip was just so similar to what you said. I actually worded it in this way: forget about your baby and be selfish.
Yeah.
So this is a time in your life when you can be selfish. And again, another very emotive term, you know, we're labeled through our lives being selfish, thinking of ourselves, thinking of number one. You know, actually, you are doing a 24-hour job, keeping that baby alive in whatever means, whatever it takes. And parenting doesn't stop at night. So you really are doing 24/7 with this child, even if you go out for an hour, even if you go out for 2 hours, because that baby is always on your mind. You're not separated. Once baby is born, that's a 24-hour job. So getting support, just like Sunnah said, and thank you for referrals, vice versa. I'm just so pleased to know such an amazing bunch of people locally that we can provide an alternative to what you mentioned, NHS, and your box standard groups that are maybe on a national level, big franchises, which have their place. They're absolutely amazing. We can't compete with that, and we're not trying to compete with that. We have a one-person business, both Sunnah and I, and all the other people in our circles are just doing this out of passion and out of love of what we do. And I was going to suggest just shop around and find what resonates with you. Find your people. I've written it down for myself like this: find your people. I'm about to publish a blog post soon about, you know, how I felt when I just went back in time 13 and a half years ago when my first was born, how I felt in the first baby group that I went to. And I didn't enjoy it. And you just think this is what you do. What you said about routines earlier as well. We hear all sorts of things, everything and the opposite of everything. We're living in a kind of 21st century media explosion. There's everything on the internet. There's everything on social media. There's everything and the opposite of everything. And I suggest just go up and try a few local groups and sit with it, feel into your body, and go for the one that resonates with you, and keep looking until you find that one. Okay? And there's no one size fits all. Absolutely not.
Good.
So
we
yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, like, hopefully that does help. I mean, yeah, it's like the most joyous and amazing time. And the biggest thing that I see is just how much pressure new mums put on themselves, you know, and then having gone back a second time and going, oh, I remember how much pressure I put on myself with the first and all the things I think I needed to do. And with my second, I was just so super like relaxed about it because I knew that I could be. And if we could just implant second time mum into first time mum's brains, it would be amazing.
Yeah. And in these classes, in your classes and in my groups, these mothers mix.
Yeah.
So that's what I truly believe in, that having the extended circle of friends or peers who can give each other peer support, and they can talk about what's down the line, and they can reassure you that this is normal, because forget all the books and all the internet. Talking to one person in real life is worth 1,000 web searches, in my opinion. So Sunnah, why don't you tell us again just about the dates and the places that you provide the classes, and the days, maybe days of the week, if you've got them handy. And if not, then people can follow you and find out.
So I have, just to say, if anyone is, I just should say that I'm teaching pregnancy yoga, just in case anyone's pregnant, on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock in East Finchley. That's a really lovely group of ladies. And then I have a postnatal class in East Finchley at 10:45 on a Tuesday too. And like, that's just a really lovely group. And it's a mix of new and like second time, third time mums even. And they're actually really lovely. They've got a little WhatsApp. They could just keep, whoever comes in, they add to their WhatsApp group, and then they always go for like a lunch or a coffee after. So that's a really nice group. And I'm hoping to set up a Barnet group. I think it's probably going to be on whatever the Tuesday, probably it's on a Thursday at 11 o'clock in about 2 weeks. So if you are interested in that, contact me and I'll send you details. I'm going to do a one-off trial session to begin. And then Esther, you?
Thanks for sharing that, Sunnah. That's perfect. And it's so nice to have a Barnet local one. And same for me. I've got Mama Haven the Wednesday group has been going for a few months now, down at the Hope Corner on Maze Lane.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely, lovely location. It's a lovely room and free parking, so you can't ask for more than that. And there's cafe on site, like you said. The mamas often just hang on in there and have coffee or lunch sometimes. And that's a Wednesday morning class from 10 till 11:30. I don't know why I called it a class. It's not a class. It's a community, where we talk about matrescence and all the questions that come up. And for me, that my mission is just to allow mothers to have a very honest conversation about where they are in their mothering, parenting, what their babies are doing, and just be totally honest without judgment. And there's always refreshments, and there's usually a topic that I put forward, but it's take it or leave it. And there's usually speakers coming and talking as well. And all the speakers have been handpicked. Like I said yesterday, we had a play and development specialist on the line. I've had several people coming in talking about sleep, postnatal recovery, all things that are relevant to you in the first few months of life. And like Sunnah, we're trying to start and launch a new group at the Hyde Nursery up in Barnet. So same venue. And my classes are starting on the 5th of February, which is Monday coming. So not too late to sign up. And that one will be a baby massage stroke mother support there. So something for your babies and something for the mummies.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I know you're busy. Thanks for squeezing it in. Lovely talking to you. And I hope it's helpful for somebody out there. And if it's not you, then maybe you can think of someone to share it with. We'd love to grow a little community here in Barnet, locally to us.
Thank you so much, and chat soon.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye. I'm trying to close it down, but obviously not managing that.